I want to say I made this video before, but like I want to like kind of just tap on this again a little bit because like I talk about this a lot and I kind of feel like it's just sort of gets sort of thrown out in deaf ears. Now I'm going to preface this video by basically saying that I'm going to spoil Sinners. Okay, Sinners has been around for a while. There are multiple ways for you to watch it. So if you wanted to see Sinners and I say something that spoiled it for you, then first of all, thanks for actually watching my video. I'm a small creator. I really don't know how you came across my stuff. But also, like, dude, it's on Disney Plus. It's on Disney Plus, right? It's on Disney Plus. I don't know. But the fact of the matter is that like you can watch the movie. You know what I mean? But it's like I wanted to take this time to point out real quick, like I initially didn't want to talk about Sinners. I actually kind of wanted to sort of like I initially wanted to talk about. Well, I'll say it like this: I wanted to talk about Sinners a little bit early, a little bit later than when I saw it, but a little bit earlier than now. Does that make sense? Because like there was a lot of discourse and a lot of like conversations and think pieces about Sinners. Um, that I felt like okay, a lot of people was talking about it, so it's like clearly I don't want to say something that they already said. And now I'm at that point where like I don't care if I say anything that they've already said because I've been watching like a handful of these think pieces and a lot of the stuff is usually kind of like it's kind of been all over the place. Like you got some people basically saying actually Remick was the good guy, or some people like going, it's a movie about the devil and evil and it's trying to turn you into trying to Satan this monster, or got some people up in here just basically like just sort of like telling the whole movie and then just being like, see that part, I like that part, and that part, I like that part, that part, I didn't like that part. You know what I'm saying? And it's like it feels like obviously I'm not saying that what I'm gonna say is probably gonna be a lot different from the other think pieces of Sinners, but like I do have a habit of starting from one subject and then going all the way into another subject. And talking about Sinners is kind of like it's making me think about a few things, and it's making me realize that not a lot of people are talking about what I consider to be my favorite part of the movie. Like, let me just go ahead and start this off real quick by saying like I'm from the South. I'm from the South. Whenever my dad used to like take me to go visit my family out in the country, we used to drive past certain areas that looked like the stuff in the movie. So that like resonated with me a little bit when I saw Homeboy driving back home from from what happened, and like seeing all of those buildings literally next to the road, and like the scene is like it doesn't even look like a residential area. It just looks like somebody just saw a patch of grass and just put a building right on it, like right next to it. It's just a beautiful thing to see. Like it's just something that I look at and I go, yeah, yeah, it's kind of like that. You know what I'm saying? They do have like preserved plantations in my hometown. As a matter of fact, if you look into like the oldest active business right now in America, like the oldest active business currently right now is a plantation, Shirley Plantation. I forget where it is, but like it's a plantation. So it's like so I'm looking at this and I'm just like, yeah, it still kind of does look like that a little bit. So, but that's not what I wanted to address. My favorite part in Sinners was Smoke's last stand. Smoke's last stand. Like right before he's about to go, right before he's about to get reacquainted with his family. Yeah, it's that was a beautiful moment because, like, for those who don't know, Smoke, like obviously they brought the juke joint. The juke joint gets attacked by this demonic figure, so to speak, and then it's about to get attacked again by robe hoods. By the way, I got like code words for like I got code words for like the two who I consider to be the two worst entities in world history. There's robe hoods, which is for the K3 gang, because of the fact that I don't like using the word clan, because clan is an actual word that's used for like tribes and families and people, and I kind of want to unlink the word clan from the white supremacists, because one thing white supremacists love to do is that they would literally take things that are already existing and make it about themselves and then leak it upon them. Like, the symbol for the bad guys from World War II, that initially used to be a symbol of friendship and people coming together. That was actually a symbol of peace until they came in and just ruined it. You see what I'm saying? and part of me is just really kind of agitated by the fact that they can just sort of do that. You know what I mean? Like white supremacists shouldn't be able to have that much control over, something that wasn't even theirs to begin with. You know what I'm saying? Like if black people can like take the N word and turn it into what it is, which I personally have a bit of an issue about that, then we should be able to take other things from white supremacy and turn it into something better because yeah, like no. But so like I'm calling them the K3 gang and the bad guys from World War II, and I also will call them the unseen or the unsee. You know what I'm saying? UNZI. So just bear with me. I'm going to be using a lot of code words for them. So back to what I was talking about. Smoke, his last stand against the K3 gang, and like it was a beautiful thing to see because I remember just like not ever really being able to see that back in the day. You know what I'm saying? Like it feels like because there's one thing I've learned is that like back in the day, or at least like older action movies that I saw, like a lot of the villains were usually like from some part of Europe, and the whole thing was they want to take over America by means of sort of pushing and promoting the bad stuff that happened during like the Cold War and World War II. You know what I'm saying? They're basically like it's always from like Germany or Russia, and it's always like I'm going to spread communism through America, or is I'm going to bring this bad stuff back to. It's always like they don't. It's always like they treat the wars like unfinished business. Kind of like how they're doing now, but the whole idea was that like they really for like the majority of my childhood when it came to like movies like that, like if you had like movies where the villain was in some fashion like some at least like a national villain, that was their goal. You know what I'm saying? It was always, and they really hammered it home that like communism bad, the bad stuff from World War II was bad. They really 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 hit this home. I will always go back to the time when I was watching the animated Justice League show on Cartoon Network. And like one of the biggest plots that they had was they had Mustache Man in a vat, like a vat of liquid, and they had him like plugged into all these machines and stuff like that. Like they were going to try to bring him back. And if you read DC Comics, you would know that the original Justice League, the Justice Society of America, were initially formed to challenge Mustache Man. You see what I'm saying? So that tracks a little bit, you know what I'm saying? But it's like but like as Americans, while we're talking about how bad, the bad guys in World War II are, and the bad guys in the Cold War are, and how all these concepts actually kind of like just sort of banded together, they really, really, really took it upon themselves to just go extra light and put on kid gloves for white supremacists that are actually here in America. You rarely ever like to put this in perspective. We know more about Mustache Man. Like I can say Mustache Man, and you know who I'm talking about. But if I say the name Nathan Bedford Forrest, how many people know who Nathan Bedford Forrest is? You know what I'm saying? Like how many people know? Oh God, I forgot that girl's name. How many people know who the Daughters of the Confederacy are? You know what I'm saying? Like we know everything that we know about the Tulsa bombings. You know what I'm saying? But like we've only had like what was it like what maybe the only series I know of that actually like made the Tulsa bombings into something that was a part of the story was Lovecraft Country, and they're not going to be able to make a sequel to that. You see what I'm saying? Meanwhile, also we learn more about what happened from the perspective of the people who were victims of the bombing instead of the people who were actually responsible for the bombing. Like we still don't know. I'm not gonna say we still don't know, but I'm just saying it's like, do we know the names of the people who conducted the Tulsa bombings? Do we know the people who conducted the means of destroying Seneca Village? Do we know the people who destroyed the town that ultimately became the Arch in St. Louis? Do we know about all of the rebellions that happened? That's what I'm saying. It's like we have all of these. We know who Mustache Man is, but how many people know who Leopold is? You see what I mean? we kind of, like, especially in fiction. Fiction is one of those things where it's like, we can do whatever we want. You're telling me that we can't have, like, we can't have, like, somebody who might be a descendant of somebody from the Congo punch Leopold II in the face. We can have Captain America, punch out Mustache Man. We can have Joker beat up the Red Skull for, like, beat up the Skull for, like, because he's an American first. But we can't talk about the domestic issues here in America. Do you see what I'm saying? It's like, I feel like we do need villains, and I always go back to this. I do feel like we need to sort of shed the light on the fact that, like, we've been, like I said, we've been taking on domestic issues with kid gloves. There's people, there's people in America that don't know that these people are bad, because there's really aren't any, like, explanations or stories showing how bad these people are. And that's why I told myself, like, when I was watching Smoke's Last Stand, I just said to myself, I would love to see a movie where that is the case. Like, and also I would like for like there to be a movie where white supremacists are the bad guys, and it's not referring to slavery, because white supremacy is still a issue today. It's still a problem today. You see what I'm saying? Like, there's still like we can talk about how bad white supremacy is and literally have white supremacist supervillains established by today's timeline, because they are still around and they are still doing things. They marched to Chicago literally 2 years ago. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, these are things that we can kind of, like, address by today's standards, and it kind of feels like, it's like, it does kind of feel like, we're just, like, not even talking about it in comparison to everything else that we can talk about. Like I said, once again, like, why doesn't anybody want to punch Leopold in the face? Like, why is that? You know what I'm saying? Why doesn't anybody want to punch Nathan Bedford Forrest in the face? You know what I mean? Like, I would even, like, I have and here's how I know that white supremacy is, like, sort of setting us back a little bit. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to, like, writing villains and stuff like just writing in general. Because think about this, okay? I had this idea for a story. It's a dystopian novel. Like, I have no clue how I'm going to write it, so it's still, like, in the starting phases, and I'm just, like, sort of, just bear with me here. I'm brainstorming this idea right now as we're talking about it. But it's a place, but, like, the white supremacy, like, it's a world where the white supremacists have won. All the black people, all the brown people, all the LGBTQ people, all of the people that they don't like has now managed to successfully flee the planet. You know what I'm saying? Everybody else, gone. And so now the world is nothing but right-wing people. Imagine, and so, like, in my brain, I'm trying to imagine what that world would look like. You know what I'm saying? A world without, a world chock full of people who are looking for somebody to oppress, and nobody's there because everybody looks like them. I would love for somebody to steal that idea and make something out of it. And I know that people won't do that because they're not creative enough to make that happen. Or, that wouldn't even sound that good, actually. It's like, you don't think so? Like, I know that the white supremacist's worst nightmare is them being in the presence of other people who are just like them. And that's why True Social is, like, down. That's why True Social is, like, literally, like, not making nearly as big numbers as anything else. But that's what I'm saying, though. Is that, like, we can, like, can we just have more stuff where the bad, because, like, right now, I'm just saying, like, right now we have reasonable demographics as far as, like, writing villains is concerned. We have reasonable demographics. We have Andrew Tate. We have Diddy. We have Ghislaine Maxwell. We have Matt Gaetz. We have, Nathan Bedford Forrest. We have Marjorie Taylor Greene. We have Kevin Samuels. We have who is that dude who was, like, kidnapping all those LGBTQ people in California and just ending their lives? I forgot his name. I think it was something Buck, ironically. But you got, like, all of these. You have, like, all of these terrible people that you can sort of, like, use as templates for, like, modern day villains, and people are still saying, let's use the devil to make Remick. You know what I mean? It feels less like the true bad guys here were the people who sold, stack, and smoke the place where where they were going to have the juke joint at, because they were going to attack afterwards anyway. Do you see what I'm saying? But people cared more about Remick because Remick took up a good part of the movie. And that's the reason why I'm like going back to this idea that like we don't know villains and we don't know true evil, and nobody cares about true evil because they want people to be cool. They want people to be cool instead of evil. And my whole thing is that like we have enough cool villains. Can we go back to making villains evil, please? That's all I'm asking. That's all I'm asking. You see how I did that? You see how I started that? It's like I started this off by trying to talk about senators, and then I started talking about like villains in general. In any case, I'm gonna go ahead and get started on this book. I have no clue what I'm gonna call it though. I guess I'll call it Blank. No, there's plenty of books called Blank. The day everyone left. I don't know. Like, hey, help me come up with a title for that. I'm like, also help me brainstorm this. Matter of fact, if like this is just a story that I have in my head right now. Okay, I'm having it cooked up in my head right now. So if you want to actually include something into the plot of this story that I'm thinking of in my head right now, like just write it down below, and I will put it into my story, or I'll let you know that I will read your story. This is a group project, everyone. Let's write a story about what happens when the white supremacists win and everybody that they hate leave Earth, and it's just the world with only white supremacists in it. Can we make that? Can we make that a thing? Text below, type below to find out. Please, seriously. All right, y'all. That's it. Love, peace, and happiness and safety to every single one of y'all out there, and we'll talk again later.